So you've clicked on this video and you're thinking, what on earth am I doing with my life? I'm watching a man who is definitely way too old to be playing mobile games, sitting in a literal hooded blanket, talking to me about how you can spend money in Diablo and how it impacts the game. I made a video yesterday. It was kind of a first look at Diablo, and I hadn't really seen the extent of what the shop offered at that point. So I'm going to hold my hands up here and say I wasn't quite aware of everything that you could buy in Diablo Immortal. So the very short answer to the title of this video is yes, it absolutely bloody is, and there is no way of escaping that. This game is insanely pay to win. Strip back the graphics, strip back the polish on the game, which I'm going to talk about later, and you have something that is equivalent to Age of Z or City on Fire or that stupid advert that you saw with the, I don't know what her name was now, that relatively famous actress that just pumped this gacha game. This is basically equivalent to a gacha game. They throw offers at you at every single milestone, encouraging you to buy things for really X% value. You know, your 500% value chest, buy it now, it's only available for 3 hours or something. This game does that to you, and it is a very polished game. It is from Blizzard. It offers you things that realistically are quite predatory. So I'm going to put that out there right at the start of this video. The pay to win mechanisms in this game and the microtransaction mechanisms in this game are not only predatory, but they are disgusting for a game that comes from a franchise like Diablo. Now I've got that out of the way, let's actually talk about what you can buy in Diablo. So there is a variety of things that you can buy in the shop. I'll just show you this for now. You can buy these things called legendary crests. You can buy certain legendary gems, and there's also these gem fragments. What you will find is, for the most part, the major thing that you can buy in Diablo Immortal helps you either get legendary gems directly, upgrade legendary gems, or have an increased chance of finding a legendary gem. The legendary gem system is an entire minefield in its own right in terms of what you can upgrade, what you can find, and the amount of money that you could potentially sink into it looking for perfection. If you are looking to be the best of the best, you could very easily spend tens of thousands of dollars and pounds and whatever currency you want in this game, and you wouldn't really get close to the absolute perfection. The layers of upgrading that they have added to this game are absolutely nutty. Really. I mean, you know, you band multiple gems together to get a rank X gem that you can then use to awaken gear, and even then, if you've only taken the first step, it's only one stage in awakening, and you do the whole thing again. And honestly, they have created a system by which power can be bought very easily. Okay, and that's, to me, something that isn't fun, and honestly takes away the point of the game for my own personal liking. When you have a game like Diablo, it is a grind game where you are looking to, over a period of time, slowly get towards a new milestone in gear. If you can just circumnavigate that time spent grinding with your credit card, what is the bloody point in playing the game in the first place? And honestly, those people will end up not feeling satisfied with the game, because you'll get to a point where you can clear all the content and there's nothing for you to do anymore. So if you want my honest opinion, people who spend money on this game, or at least spend a lot of money on this game, are kind of stupid, really, because they're just reducing the enjoyment that they can get from this game. There's some people do genuinely pull enjoyment from, upgrading shit. Like that is a genuine thing that people do like doing. There is a whole host of games and types of people that literally just play games where your entire purpose is to upgrade things, and out of that core gameplay loop, there is nothing else. You just like upgrading things over time. But yeah, right, back to what we were talking about. Essentially everything that you can buy, legendary crests, the gems themselves, and gem fragments, they are all directly tied to the legendary gem system in some way, shape, or form. And there are certain legendary gems that are gated behind needing to pay, or at least the chances of you getting them as a free-to-play player are so slim that you would realistically, in all of your playtime, probably have to pay in some way, shape, or form, unless they introduce events or other mechanisms by which these resources can be acquired for free. And I'm just going to go into a website now and kind of show you what I mean. Okay, so first of all, legendary gems come in 1-star, 2-star, and 5-star. Okay, so you can get 1-star and 2-star through crafting, or essentially you don't need to necessarily pay to find 1-star and 2-star gems. To get 5-star gems, they only have a chance of dropping when you use those things called legendary crests when going into an Elder Rift, and you can invest between 1 and 3 legendary crests per Elder Rift, and each legendary crest that you invest gets you a guaranteed drop of a gem. In case you're wondering what legendary gems do, they increase the base stats of a socketed item, they give bonuses to certain aspects of combat rating, and they add bonus magic find once upgraded. And the higher the star, the higher the magic find that you... And you know, I said that 5-star gems generally only drop when you've used a legendary crest. They only have a 4.5% chance of dropping per legendary crest. And not only that, 5-star gems don't automatically come at 5-star. No, 5-star gems can be anywhere between 2 and 5 stars. Think of it like an empty bar. Sometimes you get that full bar on gem drop, and sometimes you get a partial bar on gem drop. And those gems need to be upgraded in order to achieve their full potential. And also, all those gems have a slightly different kind of bonus attributes. So even if you do get the right 5-star legendary gem, it might not actually be the perfect one for your build. And of course, if those of you that played Diablo 3, you'll remember the pain of having to find and reforge and search constantly for that right item that really, really hits the nail on your head, that's really best on slot for your class. But it was okay in Diablo 3 because you could do that shit for free. In Diablo Immortal, the very best in slot stuff can actually be very heavily gated behind a paywall. A lot of free-to-play players will be very unlikely to ever see some of the best gear that they can get for their class, which honestly leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. On top of that, gems also have ranks, and then those gems need to be ranked up to get to rank 10, and when you have a rank 10 gem, that can be used in Awakening, which is a whole different kind of area of upgrading your gear. You know, so there is this whole system that's designed to have so many variables that if you really want to find the perfect thing, it's probably going to cost you a decent chunk of money. And as I said, those gems, 5-star gems, can drop anywhere between 2 stars and 5 stars currently. To get a 5-star gem at 5 stars, not only would you need to pass the 4.5% drop rate chance, you would then have a further dice roll of a 1% to actually land a 5-star gem. So you're talking minuscule from the outset of putting a legendary crest in the Elder Rift, completing the Elder Rift and getting the drop. You've got a minuscule chance of actually getting a fully 5-star gem. Can you see how much money it is possible to spend? I want to go back to the... This is the crests. 1,600 can get you 10. 1,600 of these, I don't know, like orb things, right? I can buy 1,650 for £22, right? So if I want to run 3 Elder Rifts, and you know, each Eternal Legendary Crest is calculated individually. So if you put 3 of them into a rift, it doesn't make it a it doesn't make it a 13.5% chance. You have 3 times 4.5% chances. So technically, 1,600. So 22 quid would get you a 45% chance, technically, I guess if you're taking it in that kind of cumulative, or rather, you know, sequential values, technically kind of like a 45% chance over 10 runs to be able to pick yourself up a 5-star legendary gem. That's 22 quid for the chance to get, you know, a 5-star legendary gem. And what absolutely like blows my mind is that there's some really amazing cosmetics that you can buy. Like these things, Path of Exile style, for me would have been enough to like convince me to want to spend money. Like, I want my character to look badass like this, like frothing, glowing frost armor. But not only could I have the frothing, glowing frost armor, I would also need to spend a dick ton of money to get the gear that would maybe adequately reflect the visual power that I'm getting from those currencies. So, as you can see, there's a lot. And if you think that is bad, okay, I haven't even talked about the very, very uber level of spending. Not only do we have this whole shenanigans, this whole funnel pathway of legendary gems to contend with, we have awakening. You can awaken legendary gear, and it will provide you with specific bonuses. The way that you do this is by getting a legendary gem to rank 10, and ranking a legendary gem up, requires lots of copies of the same gem and lots of other gems. There's a whole kind of combining system that you do to rank up those gems. You then socket it into a legendary item, and then you need a specific. This is the kicker for me, right? You could grind a legendary gem to rank 10 by yourself, free to play. Absolutely possible. You get there, you think, fuck yeah, I can awaken an item, and then you get to the awakening item, and you need this reagent called a Dawning Echo. The item is necessary for awakening to happen, and it can only be obtained through the materials tab in the in-game shop for 1,000 eternal orbs. Do you guys remember how much 1,000 eternal orbs cost? Somewhere in the region of like 15 quid, 15 to 20 quid. I'm going to sneeze. And then awakening legendary gear then gives you the more you awaken it, you can awaken it like with more resonance. And each legendary gem has a varying resonance bonus, so you want to see which one benefits your character. It increases your base attributes, but it also adds like really like game altering modifiers for your skills. Like there are things like reduce a skill's cooldown by upwards of 30%. Imagine having that. You're contending with that in a PvE scenario, or even if translating it into a PvP setting, you're just not gonna contend with someone who's got awakened gear, ridiculous cooldown reduction. You just won't beat them. There's a flat out. If you really care about PvP, and look, the way that Lost Ark dealt with this scenario is that they actually equalized everybody in PvP. So PvP just became this completely equal setting. I actually haven't tried PvP in Diablo Immortal yet, so I'm not going to say that I know that it does that or not. But if it doesn't, then clearly your credit card is the most important weapon that you can have when it comes to, trying to fight out in PvP scenarios. But hey, I'm not exactly fully up to date on the PvP, so if someone knows any better, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear whether Diablo Immortal have put anything in place that kind of protects free-to-play players in the PvP setting, maybe whether they match you against people with similar levels of stats to you or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it's quite egregious, the kind of levels of dumb shit you can unlock with your credit card in this game. And that brings me on to my final discussion point. And I'm going to go back to the in-game just to, give you a slightly nicer back. There are two great videos by a guy called Greg2G. Kind of goes into the very granular details of what you can and can't buy in this game. But frankly, the takeaway is that to really actually get the really high tier stuff, it is insanely expensive, and you can sink a lot of money into it, and it's actually quite predatory. For people who, like me, sometimes do see an offer for like £1.80. I'm like, oh yeah, Look, and look, I've spent a bit of money on this game to see what you get from the packs, and also because genuinely I have been having fun with the game. I think this is a free game, and I will happily give some money back to the developers where I feel that the game has been well made. And frankly, for a mobile game, this has been well made. I haven't tried the PC version yet. It's not actually available, but hey, there we go. We've talked a little bit about what you can buy, and clearly you can buy a crap ton. Here's the kicker, though. Here is the real discussion. Why the f should you care? Ultimately, at the end of the day, unless you're really, really geared into PvP and there isn't any equalizing capabilities in PvP, unless you're really geared in, then you can discard this part of the discussion, because yes, if you're playing Diablo for only PvP, which to be honest with you, Diablo is not really known for, so why would you? But ultimately, if you're playing this for just PvP related things, then yes, clearly this is a massive issue. If you're playing for only PvE, why do you care? I don't care. Why should you care? You know, at the end of the day, because someone spent $20,000 and unlocked a lot of cool shit for themselves so they can just beat up some pixels, which everybody should be able to beat up anyway, you know, it'll affect leaderboard climbs, I guess, for the challenge rifts. You know, you may never be able to contend at the top end of the challenge rifts, which, frankly speaking, if you care that much about that, then, you know, obviously. But ultimately, Diablo Immortal is a game that, for the very most part, you enjoy a lot of it by yourself. And if you want to spend to beat up some pixels a little harder than everybody else, go for it. If that's what floats your boat, if that tickles your fancy. For me, I'm pretty content with just grinding the game out at my own pace. I'm not here to compete with anyone other than myself. I've never really been a ranked leaderboard grinder. I like upgrading stuff, but I like the challenge of upgrading stuff. And that's something that I'll probably stick to in this game. You know, the very core essence of it is, yes, you can pay to win in PvE, and there is a whole kind of like psychological aspect in that you are trying to chase other players, you're trying to compete with other players, and when there are ranked leaderboards for certain milestones involved, and then clearly that pay to win is going to maybe impact the way that you feel about the game. But if you're like me and you've just seen that actually it is a relatively well polished mobile game, the combat feels pretty nice, it's got a pretty cool story, the graphics are decent, it has cross playability, like at the end of the day, why do you really care about what other people want to spend on the game? If you're happy and content just beating up the monsters, as you can see here, if you're just happy and content beating up the monsters at your own pace, then ultimately it doesn't really matter if anybody else is spending, and it doesn't really matter what's available at the shop, because it really shouldn't impact you whatsoever. That shop is there for people that for some reason want to spend to be able to kill the AI monsters that much quicker than everybody else. But if you're not bothered about PvP and you're not bothered about the Elder Rift or the Challenge Rift leaderboards or whatever, like, you know, like that, or you're not bothered about getting into a warband that has a specific gear score rating or something, you know, then ultimately you don't have to care what's in the shop. Buy the cosmetics if you want to make your character look cool. But, you know, grind Diablo at your own pace, play it at your own pace, play it as much as you like, play it as much as you don't like. I think that's the core takeaway here. I have absolutely ragged on this pay to win system in Diablo, and because frankly I think it's predatory, and I think, you know, a title with the gravitas of Diablo shouldn't be, when I complete a boss, saying there is an offer available in the shop. That's not really what I want to be seeing. But it is a good mobile game. It's well made. There's a lot of care that's gone into the customization. They have made the classes and the skills feel quite fun to use. I am getting the same feeling of playing Monk from D3 than I do with my Monk on Diablo Immortal. And so, you know, I think one can really throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, the bloody whales are going to ruin my game, but they're not going to. I mean, like I said, depends what you care about. They're going to ruin PvP if there is no equalization in PvP. Absolutely. They're going to ruin your Rift ranked leaderboard grind. And if that's what you really care about, then sure. But if you like a hack and slash ARPG that you can play by yourself, upgrade your character in your own pace, then actually whatever they buy and whatever's on offer doesn't really affect me. Would I like this game to be less pay to win? Absolutely. Would I like this game to have been cosmetic only? Absolutely. But frankly speaking, we all know that that's not how mobile games work these days. NetEase have clearly shown Blizzard how to monetize a mobile game, and it is a little egregious. It's a little obnoxious. There are absolutely things in here that I think shouldn't be part of the Diablo franchise, but you strip that back, you still have a good Diablo game. It is fun. The graphics, the atmosphere, everything feels nice. It's just got this shitty, turdy pay-to-win layer over the top of it, which if you can see past and not interact with, you can still enjoy the game to a good level. So that's my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to link those Greg2G videos in the description below so you guys can go and check it out. They're really informative and kind of go through the very granular on what you can and can't upgrade in the game. And I think he did a really good job kind of explaining it. So I'm going to put those two in the description below. But yeah, that is basically the TLDR. Yes, Diablo Immortals is really fucking pay to win, but do we care? That question's up for you.